Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Chats, Stats, and Fun Facts, a 2025 season preview brought to you by the Dry Pink Dialogue. Saur, thanks for being a part of this with me, as always, and everyone watching, thank you. Today, we are talking about Santi Morales. Here's my fun fact. He is the second son to play for Inter Miami and to play for a coach on the coaching staff behind the Nevilles. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say Santi Morales?
Game winner. He won us that game single-handedly against Club America, and now we have bragging rights against one of the best clubs in Mexico. Not many people can say that, and Santi Morales has the bragging rights for that. So game winner, man, and can't wait to see what 2025 has in store for him, because this is a lot of potential in a really promising player.
Yeah, you know what that reminded me of? When he took the ball, and not to shame any other player, but when Cello took the ball right before that, I was like, oh no.
Everybody in the history and in the Inter Miami fandom knew that Cello Wigan was going to miss.
Okay, this is not about Cello. This is not about Cello. But what I will say is that was very memorable because the next player to come up was Santi Morales, and I had all the confidence in the world. I was 100% sure we were going to do this. He was going to hit it. In fact, me and you were live as this was happening because we were prepping for the post-game show, and we weren't sure if we should go before the penalties or we should wait for the penalties. So we were talking to each other while the penalties were happening, and mine was about 3 seconds ahead of yours. And I said, oh, it's Santi Morales. He's got this. And then he banged it in. That reminded me, 2023 Leagues Cup, I believe it was the FC Dallas game on the road, and we had that big comeback. What a back-and-forth game, an excellent game. But it ended on Benjamin Kramaski penalty winner, and I thought to myself back then, I saw Kramaski come up with the ball, and I thought, it's over. 100%, he's got this, no doubt about it. And I felt the same way about Santi Morales. So, foreshadowing, I don't know, but similar moments. He didn't play at all last year, 0 appearances. This is a guy who signed his first-team contract. It's actually been quite a long time. I think it was September 2023. So he had time at the end of 2023 to make an appearance. He didn't. All of 2024, he was, as far as we understand, ineligible to play. At the beginning of the season, Inter Miami had to send 4 players to the B team on loan for the year, and those players were not eligible to play for the A team. Unlike some of the B team players who could have used the 4-time loan thing. But he was one of these 4 players that was on a first-team contract, but ineligible for the first team. 0 appearances. So we don't really know what to expect. So why are we doing a preview on him? Because we know what to expect a little bit. And that's what we're going to talk about, and we're going to stretch it out for as long as we can. Saur, what do you expect from him in 2025?
I expect a Leo Afonso-esque season from him. If he can replicate what Leo Afonso did last season, that would be, I think, the perfect start to his Inter Miami first team life, right? He's still 17 years old. He's very young. I don't expect to see too much of him. He might make the bench a fair few times and might get minutes off the bench towards the end of games, perhaps. But he has that little X factor to him, that little swagger, that ability to, do something on the pitch when he has the ball in his feet. He's very good with his close control, plays in that number 10 role. I'm not sure if there's an out-and-out number 10 other than Santi Morales right now, at least on this squad. We haven't seen Segovia play as such, and Messi obviously is the number 10. But behind Messi, Santi Morales at this point in time might be the only number 10 we have out and out. And it'll be really interesting to see how Javier Mascherano utilizes him, because he's young. He's not going to get too many minutes. But if he can have a breakthrough season of sorts where he can actually show whatever small minutes that he gets, that he can make an impact on this team, I see the future is all for him, man. He can have an amazing future at Inter Miami.
I will say, if he has a season like Leo Afonso did last year, that is beyond my expectations.
Yeah.
That would be a dream for Santi Morales, truly. And in fact, I think it's more likely, to be perfectly honest, that it looks more like last year than it looks like that. Leo Afonso only played 323 minutes, which isn't a ton, but he didn't really break into the team until the second half of the year, and then he got that injury at the end of the season. So 14 games is and including a game winner, highlight of the year type play, would be a dream season for Santi Morales, I will say. What is he as a player? He's a true number 10. And you mentioned it. Inter Miami has no true number 10s on the team. barring Lionel Messi, right? Who is, whatever. So maybe there is a role for Santi Morales to step in as a true number 10. Now, I still think the team might go out and get a number 10. Talasco Segovia might be that guy. I think Kramaski can play that role. Like, I think there are options. I don't think I'd be interested to see what Sergio Busquets looks like up there. Like, there are a lot of interesting options before you get to Santi Morales. But that is what he is. He's a true number 10. I think physically, one of the big things holding him back, and he's still young, he's still growing into himself, is a lack of physicality. He doesn't have, at age 16 when he was signed, he didn't have that sort of professional level of athleticism to come in and just work at a bare level without needing the skills to really carry him. And I think that's the idea with a player like Santi Morales, is that the skills are going to be good enough and he's going to develop enough as a playmaker that a lack of size and a lack of athleticism, like high-end athleticism, is not going to hold him back. Unlike a player like Benjamin Kramaski or David Ruiz, who is certainly athletic enough to play at the pro level, and then you can kind of give them minutes until they develop the skills. Santi Morales is going to have the skills developed by the time he gets to and can make an impact in the MLS. So that, I think, is something we should know. We also should note that, again, he wasn't eligible to play last year, so he couldn't get any minutes. This year, I do think he will get some minutes. And in fact, if he plays in 10 games and he gets 10 bench appearances and we get a little bit of a taste of him, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And can he create an assist? Can he create a goal? Actually, the more I talk about it, the more I could see it being a Leo Alfonso type season. Can he get that one big assist that we remember, or goal that we remember? Can he get 300 minutes, 15 appearances? That feels like the high end of what we could expect from him this year, because again, he is very young, 17, is gonna need time to develop, especially physically, but certainly those skills have to be on point by the time he is able to make an impact in MLS. But maybe it doesn't feel as out of the reach as I thought it maybe did once I started talking about it.
See, I convinced you, and I didn't have to even say a word for that.
Yeah.
When I was 17, I probably couldn't even tie my shoelaces properly, let's be honest. So the fact that he's potentially going to be
clear, that's a youth thing. That's not an old. That's a youth thing.
Yeah. I do think this is, as you mentioned, the expectations are not there. I don't have much expectations from Santi Morales this season. He just needs to, every minute that he gets, if he does get a minute on the pitch, just enjoy yourself. Just enjoy that moment, cherish it. You're not there to change games or change lives in any way. You're going to get there to develop and learn and absorb, be a sponge as much as you can. Play with those first team players, train with those first team players, learn from Messi, who's been the best number 10 the world football has ever seen. So I think this season for Santi Morales is all about growth, development, as you said, get bigger, develop physically as well. He's fairly small in terms of his size, and his attributes are all there. You mentioned he's got some really good close control, very good dribbling, got a shot on him as well, some good passes. So he has a bit of everything. And I think if he puts in that effort this season to just put his head down and enjoy himself and learn from the best around him, he can, next season perhaps is when he can actually have that breakthrough season. But you never know, man. Football can be a magical story for some people. Maybe he gets that one chance off the bench when we're struggling to score a goal against an opposition that's just sitting back and not letting us get through. And you can see him totally just be fearless, dribble past a couple of players, take a shot and score a goal. And that's what young players are. They're fearless. They have absolutely zero fear. And if he can play with that sort of mentality, it'll be fantastic to see him whenever he's on the pitch.
Yeah. The first ever homegrown signing from the academy that Inter Miami ever signed was Felipe Valencia. And he never appeared for the first team. They signed him in 2020, I believe, and he was under contract for 4 years, and he never played for the first team. And not that I think that Santi Morales is going to be that, but I think there does come a time where it becomes important to establish yourself as a player on the first team, right? Like, even if he is lost in Sunderland or Leo Alfonso, or even if he's number 25, that's okay. You just don't want to be number 32, which means you're just not really on the first team. And listen, Felipe Valencia I'm sure had lots of things that led to, his time at Inter Miami ending without an appearance, but I don't want that to be a thing that ever happens again for a youth prospect that does get signed to a first team contract. So for me, for not just Santi Morales, but for Tyler Hall and for Israel Boatwright, I want them to establish themselves as first team options that can get first team minutes and becomes guys that practice with the first team every day. And sure, they can play games with the B team. Of course, you got to get the experience, got to grow. But guys that are like first team players by the end of the season and not B team players on first team contracts. And so whether it's Lawson Sunderland or Ryan Saylor or, Leo Alfonso, can you have that type of role on the team this year at 17, which is still incredibly young, to sort of make your mark and say, okay, I'm here next year, watch me double it. Then year after that, watch me, try to become a starter. And by the time this era of Inter Miami ends with Messi and Suarez and Busquets leaving, like, can he put himself in a position to lock down a starting role? I think that's one of the interesting conversations for a lot of these players, but Santi Morales is certainly one of them. So are we going to get the first taste of that this year? I want to see him continue to be bigger than he was last year, more physical than he was last year. Technically, he's got a high ceiling compared to a lot of the players that are that young. So I just want to see him. And also, like, every chance we get to see him is going to be like, okay, let's see what he's got. The 7 minutes that he gets at the end of the game, let's see what those snippets provide. What can we take from that moving forward? So I'm very interested in what he can be this year, and I want to see him establish himself as a first-team player.
And he's very exciting. I think he's more exciting than a lot of the other options that you mentioned on the, before this. So I think there's definitely potential here. You just have to tap into that potential. But this is the season where he should enjoy himself. Cherish every moment that he gets on the pitch. There's not going to be many of those, but you never know. And it'd be the most beautiful story in the world if he makes an impact in whatever way. I will always remember Leo Alfonso for scoring that goal against Philadelphia. If Santi Morales can do anything close to that for us this season, he has a story with Inter Miami.
The last thing I want to mention is that it does feel like Inter Miami is going to play with a 10 this year, at least based on what we've seen so far from Javier Mascherano. And if that's the case, I do think there's a natural role for Santi Morales that maybe didn't exist under Tata Martino's system. And so that could probably be a nice benefit to him. And also those wide players that sort of have everything in front of them that touch the edge lines. It's another place where I think he could play. So there feels like there are more opportunities systematically or, based on the system this year than for a player like Santi Morales than there was last year under Tata Martino. Okay. Predictions for 2025. Here's the over-under. 0.5 appearances for the first team this season. Over or under? And that means, is he going to make his full senior team, first team debut this year?
I'm going to say over. Let's give it. Let's trust.
I think we're going to see him this year.
Yeah. Trust
Javier Mascherano, another fact. I know that Tata Martino, I wouldn't criticize him for this during his tenure, but he didn't have a huge reputation for bringing through young players. Maybe this is something Javier Mascherano, who got his debut in coaching as an under-20 coach, has sort of more of a romantic heart towards bringing these young players through. So I think he gets his first team appearance. I actually, now that you mentioned it, Leo Alfonso, 14 appearances, 323 minutes. Give me that stat line from Santi Morales in 2025. Anything else before we end it?
No, just one last thing to Santi Morales. Be a sponge, absorb the knowledge, because you're going to learn from the best and enjoy yourself.
Have fun. And also win a couple games for us. Like that. Do that.
Score a banger.
Yeah.
Score a hat trick.
Yes. Go down to 9 men and then hit a game winner. Okay, guys. We will see you in the next one. Thanks for being a part of this. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful day.